Good morning, world history. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd. So today we are going to be talking about democracy in Athens and to what extent Athens was actually a fair democracy that let people really have a say in how their government operated. So first, let's go to our warm-up. As always, I would like you all to copy and paste these questions into your Q1 warm-up journal. This Google Doc is attached on the announcement on Google Classroom for you, so you can just copy and paste them over from there. So you have two things that I would like you to respond to. Number one, in your own words, define democracy. So I want you to tell me, based on your own thoughts, your own definition, what democracy means. Please don't look up a definition from Google for this. I want it to be your own thoughts at this point of what you think the definition is. And then number two, you're going to use Google image search to find a picture that you feel represents democracy. How you, what kind of image is up to you, but just make sure that it is school appropriate, please. So please pause your video here while you answer the warm-up, because I'm about to talk about the definition of democracy, and so I want to see how your definition compares to the actual definition we'll be using. So pause it here. So democracy is defined as government by the people, a form of government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised directly by them or by their elected agents under a free electoral system. Meaning, the people that make decisions are the people themselves, rather than elected officials making decisions for them that they don't want. Also, another word that goes with democracy is equality. So when we think of a society being democratic, we think of that society being fair and equal. So like I said, today we are going to be doing a document analysis to determine whether or not we can consider Athens a democratic society. If you are in period 2, you started this yesterday. Periods 1, 5, and 6, you have not started yet. So period 2, you can fast forward to the next document, document B. The rest of you probably should stay and watch how we go through the first document together. So in this assignment, you are going to see 2 attachments. One is called Athenian Democracy Documents, and the other one is called Athenian Democracy Learning Activity. You're going to want to open both of those up. So in this activity, we have 4 documents that we're going to be looking at. Some of them are primary sources or sources that were made during the time that we are investigating, and others are secondary sources or ones that were made after the time period in question. So the first one we are going to look at is by an Athenian general named Pericles. That's how you say that. So before you read the document, I would want you to preview the questions. So the things we have to answer are: 1, who was Pericles and why did he give this speech? Number 2, based on what you know about Pericles and how this speech was recorded, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this document as a source about Athens' political system? And number 3, according to Pericles, what were the characteristics of Athenian democracy? So for all of these documents that you have, they're all set up the same way. The top, the bolded title tells you who gave or who was the creator of that source. Then we have this italicized section that tells you a little bit about who created the source, when it was created, and how it was created. This is going to be really great for sourcing questions, like why was this particular speech or document or book or letter created? And then we have the document itself. So before you start reading the document, I would recommend that you look at this vocabulary section at the bottom that correspond with these underlined words, because that's going to help you make sense of the document. So let's look at Pericles' speech here. The following excerpt is from a speech known as the funeral oration, delivered by the Athenian general and politician Pericles in 431 BCE. Pericles was widely seen as the leader of Athens. He gave this speech during a funeral for Athenian soldiers that died in the first year of the brutal Peloponnesian War against Sparta, Athens' chief rival. The Athenian historian Thucydides included the speech in his book, The History of the Peloponnesian War. Historians are not sure when Thucydides wrote down the speech or how close his version was to the original. Our Constitution, now we go to Pericles' speech itself. Our Constitution favors the many instead of the few. That's why it is called a democracy. If we look to the laws, they give equal justice to all. Advancement in public life falls to one's reputation for good work. Social class is not allowed to interfere with someone's merit, and poverty does not block the way. If a man is able to serve the state, he is not stopped by the obscurity of his condition. The freedom which we enjoy in our government also extends to our ordinary life. There, far from being jealous of each other, we do not feel called upon to be angry with our neighbor for doing what he likes. But all this ease in our private lives does not make us lawless as citizens. Fear is our chief protection against this, teaching us to obey the magistrates and the laws. So you are going to find the answer to question 1, who was Pericles and why did he give this speech? You are going to want to look in the italicized section. Based on what you know about Pericles and how the speech was recorded, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this document as a source about Athens' political system? So thinking about how this speech was recorded, you remember Pericles gave the speech, but somebody else wrote it down. So thinking about that fact, what is one reason that you can trust this source, and what is one reason why you should not? And then finally, according to Pericles, what were the characteristics of Athenian democracy? So, and said another way, according to Pericles, was Athens a fair and equal society? And don't just say, yes, it was fair and equal. No, it was not fair and equal. Please tell me what Pericles said, words that he used to describe Athens' political system. What did he say that lets you know whether or not he thought it was a fair and equal system? Next, we are looking at an excerpt of the Athenian Constitution. So just like the United States, Athens had a constitution or a document that laid out how the government runs. So that is what a constitution does. It is a document that tells people how the government functions and what role the people have in the government and what the role of certain officials is. So just like document A, you have an italicized section at the top that tells you a little bit about the sourcing information of this document, when it was written, how it was written, and other important information. You have the excerpt, and then you have a section of vocabulary at the bottom. So again, before you read the document, definitely take a look at the guiding questions first. So what we're going to be looking at is, number 1, what was the purpose of this document? Purpose questions, any sourcing questions, are most likely going to be answered in the italicized section, as we saw in document A, so just keep that in mind. Number 2, according to the Athenian constitution, who had the right to vote in Athens? We're going to find this in the document excerpt itself. And then number 3, how did someone become enrolled as a citizen in Athens? So let's take a look at document B. The following excerpt comes from the Athenian constitution written by the Greek philosopher Aristotle between 330 and 322 BCE. Aristotle was the leading Greek philosopher of the time and is credited with writing accounts of the constitutions of 170 different Greek states. So again, you're going to find the answer to number 1 in the italicized section. Questions 2 and 3, you're going to be able to answer from the document itself. Who had the right to vote in Athens, and how did this enrollment process work? Please make sure that you are answering these questions in complete sentences, and please answer them in your own words. Please don't just copy and paste quotes from the text without explaining what they mean. If you copy and paste a quote from the text and I ask you to explain what it means and you're not able to do so, that tells me that perhaps you didn't fully understand what the document was saying. So I really would like you to avoid copying and pasting and writing in your own words. The last document we're going to do today is a little bit different. So it is not an actual block of text. It is a chart that tells you the different numbers of different groups in Athens. So this data comes from the book, The Wealthy Hellas, written by Professor Josiah Ober in 2010. It is therefore a primary or secondary source. I hope you said secondary. Ober is a professor of classical civilization and political science at Stanford University. So here we have the population groups listed on the left side: citizen men, citizen women, children of citizens, metics, which were foreigners from other Greek city-states that settled in Athens that were free but did not have the right to vote, and then slaves. So for document C, all you have to do is answer 2 questions. So number 1, what percentage of Athens' total population was able to vote? And number 2, which groups of Athenians were able to vote and which ones were not? Please make sure you are answering in complete sentences. Don't forget that your new Memrise is due on Thursday. So if you get done early and there is something that you are you're looking to do something, please work on Memrise. Also, grades have been updated, and I will be reaching out to those of you that are missing many assignments because I would like to conference with you before progress reports go out on Friday. So look out for an email from me to set up a time to conference. If you are in good shape grade-wise, I will not be reaching out to you. However, if you wish to have a conference, you can request one. That's all for today, World History. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on Google Meet.